Recording. So boom, we are here now live on Yada Debates in our new location at New Pod City.
Yes.
So
Yes. New Pod City.
this is one of the biggest things that we wanted to transition into this new year is to make sure that we're in a new space and a space where we can have guests like yourself on the show to like really bring a new perspective to like what we do. Like people who have
Thank you.
more insight on the topics that we bring to like the
Right.
table. And like I saw it's just like, well, I see your post and I see that you do like a lot with like, credit rebuilding and credit management and
Yes.
even more so taxes. So
Hmm.
um I just thought that it would be dope to get you on the show.
Oh, yeah. I'm so happy to be here. Thank
So
you. I'm
so
honored.
yeah, so here for Yada Debates, I would like to introduce our guest, Joanne. Now, is it Joanne Alexandra? Is that your full name? Or?
That is my name on social media, but it's Joanne Blanc.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so it's French. My parents are from Haiti, so I'm a Afro-Caribbean, African-American Black princess.
Oh, nice. That is nice. That is nice. And like to give people like a little bit of background, like me and Joanne actually like met previously. I know Shelly, like to kind of get you in the loop. We met like when I was doing like a lot of the shows, and she was like the event planner down at South Rio,
Okay.
and
Hmm.
like being the ambitious, I was just like we got to get down there. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that was
And
actually like
and then you pitched the idea to me. I said, let's do it.
yeah. So
I didn't care what management had to say. I was like, let's just make this happen. I thought it was a great, dope idea. Wreck the mic, and I'm still looking forward to volume 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whatever. Let's do it again.
when we get back into and when we get back into that groove, so we'll definitely see all that. But more
Yes.
recently, like we see that you're heavy into like the credit restoration, the credit rebuilding, and
Hmm.
even more so taxes.
Hmm.
Um, I think at this point, and like for the audience that we care to, like everybody should know what credit is, and if you don't know, then you kind of need to like get from under that rock that you've been in for like the last 50,000 years. But I think more so what needs to be like brought to light is like really understanding it. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
feel like that like one of the problems that we really face for us is like people don't understand why credit is so important.
Hmm.
Even just for myself, like becoming into my financial journey, it's just like I started like learning and researching this stuff like just like a year ago. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So it was just like so
Hmm.
like what is some of the things like why is this like credit thing like why is it so important, like
Yeah, I mean, I feel as though our community, we weren't taught about credit. Like financial literacy is something that we were not really taught. It wasn't taught to me. I remember coming up and my mother would be like, hey, if the bill collectors call, don't pick up, you know. And
we've all
so,
been there.
to me, I started to, and even in high school, like we're not taught about financial literacy and investing and starting businesses and becoming entrepreneurs. In especially in my generation, the way that the generation now that we have with the Zillennials, they have more of a mindset of wanting to start their own business and be entrepreneurs. So um, my journey through financial literacy was just I was in an entrepreneurship program in high school. So I had really great mentors around me when I was like kind of like steering away from kind of like just being out there. So they kind of just knew that I was always a leader. I've always been like a person that's been curious and knowledgeable. My father is a teacher. My mother is in the medical field. So I've always been around people that gave me information and taught me things. And I've always been a sponge to that information. So with that being said, in my community, I've seen the way that the community has been broken down, post the post crack generation and how we've had, think drugs into our community, violence into our communities. And I've seen the way that other communities have prospered and my community still was being held back. So, and even just with me having parents, coming from the Caribbean and, wanting to make a difference and then made a difference, worked, just to make sure that me and my brothers and sisters had, and then to now, where I'm successful, it was just that journey of me going through from having nothing to having everything, to now even having a child, which was my kind of my inspiration for wanting to start Credit Brilliance. So, it was more about me wanting to break down these patterns of economic inequality in our community, and me being a person of colors, recognizing that and seeing that, and then going outside of my neighborhoods, and I lived in Trenton. I grew up in Trenton. I was born in the States, and we always lived in the city. We lived in New York, and then we moved here to Jersey. But everywhere we lived, it was like the hood, right?
Yeah.
So, but when we started to get more, and I had friends that lived in the suburbs, I kind of see how the lifestyle and how they were taught about conservative values versus our values were a little bit all over the place. And so I read a book called Girl, Get Your Credit Straight. And then there was also some other books I read through. I was reading Black Enterprise magazine coming up. I read Essence magazine. And all of those, magazines would talk about, credit, financial literacy. Essence and Black Enterprise would highlight Black business owners.
And I think, and kind of backtracking a little bit, and this is like when you were saying going in different neighborhoods, it's we always hear these kind of highlights the small businesses are suffering. But in my experience, when you do go to these small towns like Allentown and New Hope and some parts of Princeton, you have all these thriving small businesses where people have owned these buildings and they continue to do phenomenal numbers business wise. So it's just where are these things really being affected? And then, like you said, you do go to the hood, and then you see all these big chains. You see Walmart, you see Target, you see Kohl's, you see all these these stores that historically that we don't own. You know what I mean? That we don't really have too much ownership of, and like the dollar stores, they everywhere, so. Yeah. It's just But then, like you said, once you leave the community and then you go to another one, it's just how can they do it? How are they so successful doing it? And we have a much larger population. You know what I mean?
So, and then when I got into being an adult, I couldn't get an apartment. I couldn't get a good interest rate on a car. I couldn't get, I maxed out my credit cards. My credit was really, really bad, right? And so, I think that I already had an existing platform when prior to me founding Credit Brilliance. And so I just, started reading more about credit and, why you need credit and opening credit cards and what that would do for yourself personally, and then also for business, which is something else that we're launching this year. So to me, it's just always been important because I always saw the differences in the communities that I was coming in and out of, and that I was straddling. And so I decided that, this is something that is not talked about enough. It's not in the curriculum in our schools, and our youth need this, and they need to understand how to manage their finances and budgeting. And, that'll help someone get a better vehicle to get to work. It'll help someone get a better, live in a better area, so that their child may be able to go to a better school district, or they may be able to get funding for a business idea, and, they'll not be unemployed for that year. So,
and that's something that I always wonder. It's just because no matter what field you go into, right? It don't matter if you're a doctor, lawyer, engineer, teacher, scientist, everyone needs to understand personal finance. I don't care what field you go into. If you don't really understand your finances, it's you kind of you doomed in a sense. You know what I mean? Because you could have the most successful career or the biggest paycheck, but and again, reading into those personal finance books, it's just we see people who make these significant amount of money, and but they still suffer from the conditions that we suffer from. And it's just due to a lot of even the people that I know immediately, I'm just you make 10 times my salary. Why are you asking me for $20? You know what I mean?
Right.
Why are you asking me for money? You make way. So it shows me that it's not so much of a it's not always like a resources issues. Like sometimes it is like an education and like how you applying that knowledge that you learn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, in our business, we focus on helping people purchase homes. So, I get people that need to get cars and need to get things loans, but more so, I try to focus on the first time home buyer, and it is definitely across America. There's a lot of there's about 50% of people have errors on their credit report. So 1 in 2 people have errors on their credit report that they don't know, and they need to address those errors, whether it be a misinformation of social security numbers, birth dates, or whatever. But according to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you are able to dispute these negative items on the credit report. And there are consumer protection laws that protect the consumer around what we buy and what and also the data that's being furnished from the data furnishers. So because of that, we're able to help people. So my interest is more so trying to help our community buy back our blocks, and whether that be you want to be an investor in real estate, or you want to purchase a home on the street that your mother or your father was renting on, right? That's what Jay-Z said. So it's about that aspect of it. And so I've been basically helping people with their first time home buyer programs. We work with brokers, realtors, and lenders to help you get approved for a mortgage.
And with that, and like in understanding credit, is just like the purpose of like having is not only to make sure that you get approved, but to make sure that you get a good interest rate.
Right.
It's like, and this is something that we talked about before on the show.
Yeah.
It's just like these fucking predatory auto loans, and like
Not even just predatory auto loans, like predatory loans, period. They always try to hit you with the one with the highest interest rate, but they try to talk it down to make it seem like it's a good deal, and it's not. You end up paying more in the end.
And that was part of my issue. So like when I went to go get my first car, like I had no idea about interest rates. Like I ain't like I'm just like I know I'm trying to leave here with a car by like whatever, and like I'm over there. I want that one like so going in there like they were just like. I didn't really understand what they was talking about, but they said they was going to like give me like a 29% interest rate, and I'm just like, okay, what does that mean? And it's just like
that's like double. It's like if your car's $15,000, by the time you pay it off in 5 years, it'll be $30,000.
And here's the kicker: even with getting the cosigner, that shit was still like 22% interest. And I think like the banks was like more accepting of approving like a 22% interest, which still ended up like kind of fucking me over, because like when I looked at like how much I was going to end up paying for the car was only worth like $9,000, but I was going to end up paying like $22,000 for it. You know what I mean? I'm just like, and it's just like having a good credit is making sure that you do secure like that really good interest rate to like overall make sure you're saving money. And that's kind of like what I wanted to ask you, like in this, like in today's society, like do you think like credit is actually more important than cash in certain aspects? Like,
that's a big debate. Okay, so I feel that you need credit if you don't have cash. So you can live without cash. I mean, you can live without credit, but financial institutions will run your credit. If you have, I mean, of course, if you're a high net worth individual and they think that you're going to be a good client, they may not do the credit check, but you need a credit check because financial institutions are going to check to see if you have any public records, such as bankruptcies. We have someone in office now that is the bankruptcy king, right?
Don't we know 11 times or something like that?
Right? It's business, but yes, so they want to run and see if they can do business with you, if they can lend to you and see how creditworthy you are. But in my community, I find that we need to have credit because we need to get a house or we need to get a car. And we just need to understand it, even if you don't ever have to use it. But just knowing how to use that instrument of credit is important. Just knowing that you have to fix your credit. You have to, manage your utilization on your credit cards. That if someone gives you a credit card, it's not cash. You have to be able to know what the limits on using that particular instrument, because credit is a tool to me. It's not the end all be all, but it's a tool that you're supposed to use to open other doors for you. So, yes, you can get more credit if you know how to use what they give you and you know the rules around it. I feel like with cash, it's only going to take you but so far. If you're going to pay everything cash, by all means, if you have it, you can definitely pay everything in cash. If you want to pay your house in cash, if you want to pay your car in cash, but a lot of us don't have that upfront money to give. So because of that, we need other things. And for me, on a personal level, that's fine. But we also are dealing with business credit now. And business credit also is a different type of thing, because you need to get funding for your business. And with that, you need to show that you've been able to pay the credit that's been extended to you. So in the business world, no, it's more about credit. But on a personal level, it's some people, a lot of my clients and colleagues, they don't think that it's important. But I know people that if you have a 780 credit score and you're in a jam and you need the money to expand on, expenses to fix your home or just a personal loan to get you in between a period, then, your credit score will help you tremendously. Your credit score can help you get into an apartment complex, even if you're a renter. So you still need your credit. I don't knock anyone that just wants to pay in all cash. If you got it like that, that's fine. But for the rest of the average Americans that's making the average income and has bills, and we trying to make it, making $52,000 per year, no, then
shit, I'm not even making that. Unfortunately, I'm not an average American.
Well, we're in Trenton, so the state workers and the government workers that have their little pensions and salaries, they're trying to just make it. Then yes, so you need credit. You do.
So
to a certain extent.
So with this whole thing, I don't know if you've been keeping up, but they said they're actually kind of changing some of the things that they're doing on the credit score, change with the FICO score. I think they saying that they hitting people a little bit harder who's taking out personal loans to pay off previous credit card debt and then racking up more credit card debt.
Okay, so that's a FICO 10 score. So I think we're now at the FICO 9. So I think a lot of times it keeps changing. The history with these credit bureaus they were private companies that were buying and selling information, that were buying other companies. The history of Equifax and TransUnion and Experian goes really, really back into the 1960s and even the early 1900s, that they were, buying and selling companies in other countries, and they came to America with that same idea of wanting to buy and sell personal information because businesses were lending credit. The credit system is archaic. And so that's something that's been going on way before us. But in our modern time, the way that credit works and the credit score, it was really in the early 60s that they started to invent the FICO score. So that FICO score, the Fair Isaac credit score, has been changing, and the algorithms and the parameters around why they change it, it's just based off of our data and our information. And so right now they're about to do the FICO 10, and that's changing the way that one of the things is, they don't want if they don't want to report information about student loans or late student loans for people that have paid in the past. The FICO 9 score, Experian has this big campaign about Experian Boost. You can put your utilities that you've been paying, because they're trying to help the people that are credit invisible who don't have a credit score get a credit score by trying to attach their utility bills that they've been paying.
Yeah.
So The algorithm changes all the time. I haven't heard about that, about the people that take personal loans and they want to, not give them that. But what I do know is that it does keep changing. The FICO score does keep changing, but the FICO 8 is what they use. So depending on if you want to purchase a home or if you want to purchase a car, there are different FICO scores on your Experian credit report.
See, I didn't know that.
That they pull. So you might go to Credit Karma and think that, hey, Credit Karma have you thinking that you're about to walk off the lot with a Benz. They said your score was a 720. Come to find out, you go to the lot and what happens? It's like, nah, it's a 400. You like, wait, what?
You're like, what happened?
Credit Karma said it was a 700.
Yeah.
Because that's a Vantage score. It's not your FICO score. So, and then there's also within that FICO score levels of that breaks down the credit card score, the auto score, the mortgage score, things like that. But
So
they
you
have
have
a
like
general.
so you have like a different score for like different things, like when you go to apply. See,
Yeah.
See, like I didn't know I didn't know all of this. Like,
When you go to the bank, you want to make sure that you know what they're pulling. You want to make sure that they're pulling, they are going to pull your FICO score, but you want to make sure that is it going to be is it a mortgage score that they're pulling? Is it the FICO 8 or the FICO 9 or 10, depending on which bank? But generally right now, for historically, the past few years, it's been the FICO 8 score. And a lot of banks, when you have an app with your bank, it'll show that you have a FICO 8. It'll say it in this fine print at the bottom, and that's the score that you're looking at. So,
I know you were saying like previous, like you like kind of like stumbled, like came upon this journey of like financial literacy.
Yes.
How long did it take you for you to like finally like get like everything in order where you're just like, all right, like I'm in the positive, like, I'm not really like, I'm not drowning in debt, like I'm not really worrying about credit card, like I got like all this shit together. And more so recently I saw you like post that like, you won't have to clock in. It took you 8 years, but you'll never have to clock in to a job again. I'm telling you, I'll be funny, like, don't think I'll be watching you.
Yes, it's been a while, right? So me being my journey through being just an entrepreneur has been a long journey. I've taken losses. I have friends that are also in business that have left their 9 to 5, and, we're all doing very well. Shout out to my girl Shaniqua of Opulence Financial. I'm working with her on the tax side of the business, and she left her corporate job 3 years ago and is doing really well in Atlanta. But I feel like it took me, I would say, 2 years. Like, I would say, 2 years.
And you was going, like, hard in those 2 years. Like
I was going hard, but it's just like, when you put out energy and wanting to, like, network and putting the time into your business and just getting really serious and just connecting with the right folks, connecting with the right business mentor that I had, that I've been blessed to have, that has, kept me really, really straight and business minded. We've been able to successfully expand the business. And that was even a part of a 5-year plan. We sat back 5 years ago to talk about what our 5-year plan would be with the business and where we would be heading. So it was a journey that wasn't overnight, and yeah. I worked on myself. I worked to, raise my salary. I worked on, getting more money from corporate. I left corporate. I was making $90,000 a year. And people would be like, you're a fool to leave that. Right? But my biggest thing with corporate America was there wasn't no job security. And with corporate, you can be, here today, gone tomorrow. They'll be like, we're doing a massive layoff. Everybody permanent, and you still get laid off. There's downsides in every industry.
Right.
So nobody is safe. And that's what I like about the generation now. This generation is all about entrepreneurship. These new millennials are really about, wanting to start business and their own thing. And, especially in the digital age where we have a lot more information at our fingertips and wanting to do things. So, me growing up, it wasn't like coming up, like it wasn't that. It wasn't that easy for us. So there's a lot more information being spread when wanting to start your own business and being an entrepreneur and being successful. So I invested a lot into, wanting to empower my community. And, Credit Brilliance is an extension of that. And me wanting to, continue to empower us because my family's from a third world country. So they didn't have nothing, So for me, it was always like, you know, we was in the, you know, we were always talking about the Black experience, but it was always like the first thing that we always want to talk about is like, we need jobs, we need money, we need more. Like, we don't have nothing, right?
Yeah.
So to me, you know, economic empowerment was also something that we needed to invest in ourselves and into our communities, and not having to, you know, leave it out to other outsiders in our community to give us that.
So going back to like Credit Brilliance and like how'd you get started with them, and and what exactly like do you guys do to like, without giving out, but what do you guys do to like really help people put on, like, get them on that path, you know?
So when I was in corporate, my first job out of high school, I worked for Merrill Lynch. I worked in the financial services sector. So it wasn't just, you know, something I read and I was just like, boom. I was getting experience. I worked at Merrill. You know, my good friend, she tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, my aunt works at Merrill Lynch. Do you want me to put you into an interview with someone over there? And I said, sure. So I started working there, and I started learning about the investment side of things and how investing was important. So I started working at that brokerage firm. From that brokerage firm, I started working in the mortgage industry, and worked in the mortgage industry side of things. Mortgage, learned about home ownership from there. Then from there, I went to work for the state of New Jersey. I was a compliance officer working on business loans and business funding. And that's where all of this kind of clicked for me when it was time for me to start working on, you know, the opportunity to become a credit specialist. So I was, you know, just kind of, you know, working on other projects, and I had a business partner of mine who was working with another company, a financial services company, and then I had family that were in the insurance field. And we just kind of, you know, I just kind of said, hey, I think that it's important for us to also want to empower each other economically. And I had this idea of wanting to help people with their credit, because I've been doing this for a long time, looking at financial reports. So, you know, it was, I think within our first 6 months, we had 70 clients. And then here we are going a year and a half, and we have 200 clients.
That is amazing. Like it's important, like you said, is that it wasn't an overnight journey, because like, you know, some people just see the fruits of your labor and they're just like, well, how did they obtain that? Like me personally, like, you know, I'm like I said, this thing kind of just like came to me, and I tell everybody this story. Like my whole like start for the financial journey was like this article that I read, and I tell everybody this a million times, that they said like 80% of Americans don't have $400 to go to in a minor emergency. And I said, that's me. I'm 80%, and I'm like trying to like get away from that. So like I really started like taking the steps to like, you know, start investing my money, and then like I started like really realizing like it's like the little things that we don't even like pay attention to, that like just like recklessly spending money and not really like thinking about it, like not really accounting for like certain things, like, hey, if I didn't do this, I could like potentially like save this money. And like more recently, like I know everybody's been seeing like what's been booming with Tesla. Like I invested into Tesla like back when like the stock was like 330. So I'm just like, you know, like I kind of like seeing like electric cars as the future. I'm just like, this is one of those things that like I feel like it's going to.
Electric cars are the future. I was driving a Prius for my rental,
Yeah.
and it took $8 to fill the tank up.
I know that felt good.
It felt so good.
And that's what I'm saying. So seeing that, like, because I started seeing more and more electric cars on the road, like already, I'm just like, this is something that's eventually going to become mainstream. And I was looking at between like, it was like Tesla and like another company, and I didn't really hear too much press about like the other company, but I heard like all these issues with like Tesla. But like as soon as I got into it, they was just like suffering from all these things with like, oh, this company pulls out funding with Tesla. They didn't meet their sales there. And I'm just like, I was asking.
Look at Princeton now. Tesla is like the car out there. Like
for real. And
everybody has a Tesla out there.
Right.
In Princeton and all the nice upper class neighborhoods. That's what everybody drives is Teslas.
And then I was talking to somebody. This is like when I went over to the Hive. I was asking them. I said like, well, there's all these other companies that make electric cars. Why is Tesla the go-to company? It's just like, well, because everybody talks about it. So lo and behold, this year, like as you can see, like it's been exploding, you know. So, but that was really just like my like personal stance on like going into the financial journey. And moving forward, this is something that I actually want to, really get some insight on this, because this is something that I don't understand at all, not even in the least bit. Taxes. And let me start this. And they were saying, like, because they had, again, another article that people were using TurboTax, and they said they left like all this money on the table because they did not fill their taxes out properly.
Right.
And me, I'm one of the ones, I go on there, I'm just like, click here, put this here, and then like I get my refund, and it's just like, but I don't really like know all like the nuances, like how much of like the tax code should I actually understand that benefits me. And so I'm making sure that I'm doing my taxes, or that if I go to somebody to get my taxes done, that I know it's
Make
being.
sure they're a credible person, because my
Wesley Snipes.
my mom's friend actually went through this like just recently. He is Haitian American as well, and he trusted another person to do his taxes, and he found out that the guy was actually stealing his state taxes, like deposited it into his account, and he filed his taxes very incorrectly. Like, he filed it for single, but would claim a dependent. Like, he didn't file them as head of household. Like, if you don't know these little things, like, his taxes were messed up for, like, the last 3 years. So,
Oh, wow.
actually, now he just went to someone who actually works for the state taxation office, and she actually amended his taxes, and they're going to audit the person who's been doing
They
his
need
taxes.
to.
Because it's basically kind of like fraud, so you have to be careful.
That is fraud.
Like, but I this is not a story that's unfamiliar to me, especially like with like my friends and everybody around me, because they'll go to these places like H&R Block and stuff like that and think they're getting a deal with these tax people, and then these people rob them, like straight out rob them for their taxes.
I haven't paid my taxes.
Like, my one friend had the person who did her taxes, she went through another person, and he deposited her whole refund into his account and stopped answering her calls, blocked her number and everything. She couldn't find him because the place where he did her taxes at was a little rental spot. Like, he was gone. He was out of there. And it's like, I feel like if you're going to do your taxes, you need to find a reputable, like, either a CPA or somebody who's, like, going to be able to, like, really understand and stuff. Like, I wouldn't do my taxes by myself.
Yeah.
Just for the simple fact that I don't understand a lot of the things that's on there. I'm not going to sit there and mess it up and have the IRS audit me, at the end of the day, just so I can maximize my refund by putting X, Y, Z. Because there's certain things you have to put in there on your taxes.
Yeah, there is. So tax planning is something that we just recently started getting into, and we're working with Opulence Financial, which is now Legacy, the Legacy Center. And so I'm working with Shaniqua, and she works with someone. She's actually the president now of the Jay Morrison Academy, and he's like this person that's really big on
I follow Jay Morrison.
Okay, so we're working with them on their tax side of the business, and I feel like tax and estate planning is something that we need to also do. Like, a lot of businesses don't file their business taxes, and you need those business taxes in order to get funding as well when you're going to a bank. And then also just understanding, what it means to. I feel like what's missing when I'm looking at these returns is that we're not investing into retirement, and our retirement is also tax deductible, and you can get a return off of, investing into a retirement account.
I have my Roth IRA set up, so I'm
Great.
yeah.
So that's something that if you can max out and put into, you can also look into, a good tax accountant or preparer is either going to continue to be a preparer for the IRS, or be an enrolled agent, which is an EA, and they can represent you just like a CPA when you have tax issues. I'm working on my EA now. But what that entails is, if you're getting audited, they can represent you, and if you owe back taxes, they can represent you in that. iCommunity, from my perspective, does not maximize on deductions and credits such as child care tax. We get a lot of earned income tax, but the child care tax, you can get refunds off of tuition by paying your tuition. They'll give you a credit for that.
I get that now.
There's credits for that. And then I'm just property taxes. When we don't pay, we don't claim those type of things. But the biggest thing for me is that we're not claiming our businesses that we've been starting. If you putting money into this business, even in the office, even if you're renting the office for the business, that's still a write-off for you that you should be putting, even if it's a loss, because that's something that can offset the taxes that you'll be owing to to the IRS.
I'm learning a lot already. Like, and I need to get
You
on
got to
this.
keep QuickBooks, keep your books, you know, and kind of do your bookkeeping if you can't. You know, I know some bookkeepers, but we do bookkeeping. And so, you know, you just got to be able to like know how to look into a good professional that's not working just, you know, one person, that's not doing self-preparation at the bottom. Like, want to make sure that it's a business that's actually, you know, licensed to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, you know, there's a lot of credits. I mean, there's credits for adoption. There's credits for travel and meals. There's all different type of credits that you should be working on, and it all starts with your tax bracket. There's a standard deduction that they give everyone. You get that standard deduction, but then you can itemize each particular cost on the tax return if you want to see if you can get the maximum amount.
Now,
Yes.
is that like
Now that I
specifically?
know.
Is that for like specifically for businesses, or can can you do that at like?
Individuals as well.
Because I do that. That's what my tax person does. She maximizes it. Like my daycare costs for my kids. She maximizes the whole return. Like,
Yeah,
the whole
there's
thing.
so everything financially, but I feel like it starts with understanding finances. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
So I was saying like an example, like average Joe Schmo like me. Like I'm just saying. So it's like I go to work, you know, I collect my income, and you know, like I pay whatever like tax comes out of like, you know, for pension, for health and medical benefits, for Social Security. Then I have like my Roth IRA, like my investments or whatever. It's just like, how can I make sure that I'm filling out my tax return correctly? You know what I mean? Like
You want to make sure, I mean, you don't want to make sure that it's like you're going to owe them. Some people want to claim high dependents. Like some people claim like 5 dependents, 6 dependents. You're not going to be paying a lot of taxes. So what that happens is you're going to end up owing. Tax planning is something that is an extra service with accountants and preparers. But it's something that is important so that you start learning about, you know, if I put in this amount here, and, you know, if I pay this much taxes, there's calculators online that, you know, that you can kind of see on the withholding calculator on the IRS website will tell you, based off of your withholding, what you'll be, you know, what you'll have to owe, or what you'll be getting in a
And
refund.
that goes back to your W-2, how you fill that out too. Not
It
your
goes-
W-2,
yeah.
Your I-9 form.
Yeah.
When you start the job, because if you don't fill that out correctly, you might be getting taxed more than what you need to.
yeah.
Because my coworker actually told me that. She was like, I don't get a lot of
Right.
money. Like, I get most of my paycheck. They don't take a lot out for taxes, but she also
Yeah.
doesn't look forward to tax time because she's not going to get that much back because she gets her whole check.
Right.
I'm not looking forward to tax time because they keep snatching my shit up. Like
Well, I am.
I
I got kids.
like they send me a notification saying that so and so has collected your refund on your behalf. It's probably somebody I owe from, like, but that's part of like me getting my own shit together. So I mean, like,
Right.
once I get to that point in time, but you know, like, we'll see when we get there. Like, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, so there's so many different things. There's mortgage, there's retirement savings, there's charitable giving, there's your car. That's a big hole for a lot of people. Travel, there's real estate.
well, like, how do you do that? Like, how do you go about like claiming these things? Like, as far as like, you know, putting travel and like certain expenses, like, and putting that like as a tax deduction, like.
You have to keep the receipts, and you have bank records. So if it's on your bank statement, you know.
Is this something like when you say keep your receipts, like all of them are just really like big ticket items?
I mean, you can take a picture of your receipts. You can put them away. If you use a debit card or a credit card, you know, keep the records of what, you know, you spent, and then, you know, you can actually be able to, you know, itemize those or deduct those expenses into like QuickBooks. You know, it's kind of hard to keep all of those receipts, but at the end of the year, they do add up, you know, because if you're spending on travel and everything, but you pay taxes on that, you know, you pay taxes on the Uber, you pay taxes on that airline ticket, right?
I could have
You know what I mean?
So much,
So
that whole
that's an extra right there. It could be extra hundreds of thousands of dollars that people pay extra taxes on that you can actually claim with the government to get back.
I gotta go back to like my accounts and I gotta look at that DR trip and see how much I paid on them taxes.
On them taxes.
I gotta see how much. So
Yes, and give me my money, baby.
So you
So-
need to keep your bank statements and stuff. Like
Yeah.
I mean, but it's like I said, it's one of those things. Like, and this is why I'm glad that we have you here on the show because again, for like the average consumer, you know what I mean? It's like we don't think to like keep our receipts for like our flights and stuff like. I mean, I know I don't. Maybe
I keep my
maybe you two do, but if I
keep my receipts
ask Mark
for
Booman,
everything.
if I ask Mark Booman, shout out to Mark Booman.
I
like,
get e-receipts, everything. Like my bank statement is accessible via my email, mail, and I have access to it on my phone and my app.
so
But that's just me being more consciously aware of like me, being more financially secure in that sense.
So, but yeah, again, like, and that's what I'm saying, and that's why I'm happy to have you here on the show with
Thank
us,
you.
so we can like really break these things down, guys. Credit and taxes is very important. Like I said, it's good to have like that capital backup, but then like having that good credit score is going to save you more money in the
Right.
long run. Like me myself, I'm more like someone like in the investment part, so I try to like get more people to like start investing in.
Right.
But
and,
even
like,
if you're not into the investment portion of it, it's just
Invest.
you need credit.
You
You
do.
need credit to live. Like we're in America. If we were somewhere else, yes, it wouldn't be as
yeah.
that heavy. But we're in a capitalist country.
Yeah.
You
Right.
need credit. Like
You do.
you, even if it's not like something that you're not gonna use all the time, you need your credit. Like that's
And I mean-
the number one thing here.
And when you think about it, like quite honestly, like when you look at like all of our transactions, like how many of our transactions are like just like all electronic? You know what I mean? Like how many times like we swipe
We're
like
transitioning into that. Like
Yeah.
majority of our transactions are electronic. Think
Right.
about it now. What do you really do that's not electronic?
I tell the homeless people, I'm just like, I don't keep cash on me. Like, so you got to if you need
Yeah.
a dollar, like you got to cash that. You got to get a cash.
I just
app
feel
or
like it's
something.
really important to, keep track of those type of expenses. And then, like I said, you can get QuickBooks. And it's just really not hard. If you keep those business records, keep your bank statements, and then you put them in, they can be written off and you can definitely maximize your deductions and you can maximize your refunds. And like I said, that and what I want to do next year is kind of do a package where we're doing not only your tax refunds but package it into like getting your credit, like you get everything all inclusive. So and also
That'd
using that refund to purchase the property that you want, to get the down payment or to cover the closing costs, and not just like putting into a depreciating asset such as a car.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
But I mean, again, thank you so much, Joanne, for coming here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I'm so happy.
If you
to be
could
here.
just let everybody know where they can find you and reach you as far as like for Credit Brilliance, if they want to get in touch with you, if they're really interested into these credit and tax.
Yeah,
services.
so we're on Facebook. So we have a Facebook page. It's called Credit Brilliance Services on Facebook. You can also call us. Our phone number is 732-943-4393. And set up an appointment, or creditbrilliance.com is where you can set up a consultation with us, and we'll go over your entire credit reports, do a detailed credit analysis of the credit, and then be able to see what we can do for you, and also be able to help you with taxes this year as well.
And of course, we'll always put like all your information into the description so people can contact you directly.
Yes.
And again, if you guys enjoyed this episode, as always, please like this video and subscribe to our page because we are going to have more amazing guests like Joanne
Yes, and
on
thank
this
you
show.
for interactive. I'm just really sick today, so I tried my hardest not to speak and spread my germs.
I told her, I was just like, you can't come in here infecting everybody with the coronavirus. So, but again, as always, on Yada Debates, until next time.
Thank you.